We have some significant news to get to here on the 49ers Report. The Carolina Panthers and not the 49ers have made a trade for all-pro cornerback Stephon Gilmore. So if you're mad the 49ers didn't pull the trigger in giving up a 6th-round pick for one of the best DBs in the league, hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. You're watching the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I am your host, Chase Sr. Today's show is presented to you by our friends at MANSCAPED. If you want the best men's grooming products out there on the market today, you can get 20% off and free shipping by going to manscaped.com/49ers. Enter the promo code for that deal. I'll put that link in the description as well as the comments section of this video. Some major news to get to that certainly impacts the San Francisco 49ers as well as several other teams across the National Football League. 2019 Defensive Player of the Year, Stephon Gilmore, who was originally released by the New England Patriots, has been traded to the Carolina Panthers for a 2023 6th-round pick. Now, Gilmore has not played so far in the 2021 NFL season because he's been on PUP. He suffered a torn quad last year, but this is a guy with so much pedigree, one of, if not the best defensive backs across the entire league, 2019 Defensive Player of the Year, and an elite cornerback when healthy. And I've been asked so many times over the last couple of weeks, last couple of months right here on the 49ers Report, should the Niners make a trade for Stephon Gilmore, who wasn't happy with his contract situation in New England? My answer was always yes if the price was right. The price was certainly right for the Carolina Panthers. They're giving up a 2023 6th-round pick for an elite defensive player. And right now, I cannot believe the 49ers did not pull the trigger on this deal. As for Gilmore's health, he's not going to play with the Panthers at least over the next couple of weeks. He was on PUP to start the year, so that made him ineligible to play the first 6 weeks of the year. He tore his quad late last season. There's been conflicting reports on just how healthy he is, not likely to play with Carolina right away. They're making this deal after J.C. Horn, their first-round cornerback, went down with a broken foot. They also recently traded for C.J. Henderson, the former first-round pick cornerback out of Florida. They only gave up a tight end and a 3rd-round pick for him. So while Carolina has been wheeling and dealing as one of the better teams in the NFL this year, the 49ers have stood put, and they have holes at defensive back as well as linebacker. And coming up on today's show, we'll also talk about Jaylon Smith and if San Francisco should pursue him. Going into this week, the Niners did have around $5 million in cap space, and Gilmore is one of the highest-paid cornerbacks across the National Football League. But we see this all the time, and all these salary cap nerds are out there saying San Francisco can't pull the trigger on a guy like this because they can't pay him. In fact, that's just not true because we see teams, front offices who are savvy, who are financially smart. They do salary cap gymnastics all the time. And I think John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, Jed York, this front office should have gotten together to find a way to free up some cap space to bring in an elite player to fill a position of need. Niners don't do that. Now they're sitting at 2-2. The Panthers only have 1 loss on the year. They are going for it, whereas right now San Francisco is not. Now, for a long time, Stephon Gilmore has been tracking down balls from opposing quarterbacks. If you want to track down your ball hair down below, you can do so thanks to our friends at MANSCAPED and get 20% off and free shipping in the process. I'm getting a round of applause from the people here at the Chat Sports Studios. Yeah, it was a nice little segue there. The Lawnmower 4.0 is overall just fantastic. 4 interchangeable blades, a battery life that lasts forever. One of my favorite features, it has a light on it. So whether you're using it in the nether region, on your beard, on your chest, wherever on your body where you're really hairy, you can see what you're doing and you can see where you're going with that light on the Lawnmower 4.0. All of the products from Manscaped are killer, just like Stephon Gilmore has been a killer going after opposing offenses. Once again, manscaped.com/49ers. Enter the promo code 49ers for 20% off and free shipping. Gilmore is in the last year of his contract, so if Carolina does want to extend him, he's going to come at a hefty price tag. These are the highest paid cornerbacks in the NFL right now. Jalen Ramsey, average annual value of $20 million per year. Marshawn Lattimore just signed that deal with the Saints for a little less than 20. Marlon Humphrey making 19.5. Tre'Davious White of the Buffalo Bills, 17.25. Darius Slay with the Eagles, 16 plus. And then you start looking at guys like Byron Jones, Xavier Howard, James Bradbury, Marcus Peters, and Trey Waynes. These guys are all making between $14 and $16.5 million. So Stephon Gilmore, once he hits the open market, is going to demand an average annual value somewhere in the neighborhood of some of these highest paid corners. While he wasn't great last year in an injury-shortened season with the New England Patriots, in 2019, he was superb. Probably the best defensive player in the league. That's why he was named the Defensive Player of the Year 2 years ago in 2019. When he was targeted, only gave up a completion percentage of 50.5, average yards per target 5.9, gave up 0 touchdowns in coverage, 20 pass breakups, which is really unheard of. That just goes to show you how good he was back in 2019, and he was able to reel in 6 interceptions. But last year, those numbers went down. Completion percentage went up from 50.5 to 57%. Yards per target up from 5.9 to 7. Gave up a touchdown in coverage, which is still a very elite number. 3 pass breakups as compared to 20. Again, that number is kind of mind-boggling, and only had 1 interception as compared to 6 back in 2019. When healthy, Stephon Gilmore is one of the league's best and most elite cornerbacks. A guy who you can put out on an island, one-on-one in man coverage, and he can lock down the opposing team's number 1 wide receiver. That's why I've been all for the 49ers making a trade or a move for Gilmore, and if he were to hit the open market after getting originally released by the New England Patriots, San Francisco should have been all in, and the fact that they didn't give up a 6th-round pick for one of the league's best defensive players is kind of crazy to me. Maybe the Panthers beat them to that, but either way, it's kind of inexcusable when this team clearly has holes, especially when you look at this Niners defensive back depth chart. Emmanuel Mosley, Dante Johnson in the slot. He's been a scrub this year. Jaquiski Tart, Jimmy Ward, one of the better safety tandems in the league. But you're trotting out Josh Norman and Drake Kirkpatrick as your starting cornerbacks. Diamador Lenore, the late-round rookie out of Oregon, has played well, but he's been up and down in this rookie campaign. You'd much rather have Stephon Gilmore over a somewhat washed Josh Norman and an older Drake Kirkpatrick. He's going to Carolina, where defensive coordinator Phil Snow has been dialing up the blitzes. That's been one of the better defenses in the league. And once again, the Panthers are going for it, whereas the Niners so far have been standing put. Niner gang, your opportunity to sound off. Let the comment section be your therapeutic outlet, if you will. Would you have given up a 6th-round pick for Gilmore? For me, it's a no-brainer, so I'm typing my Y, but I'm not even giving you an option here. Type Y for yes, type H for hell yes. Get those votes in and sound off in the comment section down below. Niner gang, hey, Niner faithful, Niner Empire, I love you very much. If you haven't subscribed, you should do so right now. Why? We hit you with the latest 49ers news, 49ers rumors, breaking news, and more. Live shows every Tuesday, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. Our watch parties on game days have been a wild success, and we are 51 people away from getting to 42,000 subscribers. We are the largest 49ers news and rumors channel out there on YouTube, so join the faithful family here at Chat Sports and hit that red subscribe button down below. Now, the Niners have missed the boat on Stephon Gilmore. They still can be in on free agent linebacker Jaylon Smith, formerly of the Dallas Cowboys. A surprise cut by Dallas on Tuesday night as they decided to let him go. Dallas, in the process, they have to eat some salary this year, but they did free themselves of about $10+ million in salary in the 2022 season. There was also somewhat of an injury settlement there that Jaylon Smith wasn't happy about because Dallas was trying to free themselves of that as well. And Jaylon Smith made it to a Pro Bowl in 2019, but in 2020, his play kind of fell off a cliff. He was a liability in coverage, and his playing time suffered because of his 2020 play. If you take a look at his 2021 numbers, guys like Keanu Neal, Micah Parsons have made him expendable, and this year hasn't really gotten to play much. I thought there was a red flag when I saw Jaylon Smith in the preseason playing late into the 3rd quarter as well as the 4th quarter for Dallas, and I was like, uh-oh, that could mean that he doesn't make the original 53-man roster. He did, but now he's looking for a suitor elsewhere. This year, 18 tackles, 0 sacks, 0 tackles for loss, 0 pass breakups, a bunch of goose eggs there, but last year he was pretty active. 154 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, and 5 pass breakups. Those numbers in 2020, not as good as in 2019 when he did make it to a Pro Bowl. And Jaylon Smith, his play has fallen off, but he's been somewhat of a good story after that horrific knee injury that he suffered in that bowl game with Notre Dame when he looked to be a future top 5 or top 10 pick as probably the best linebacker in the nation. The Niners, we're talking about Jaylon Smith here because they are very, very thin at the linebacking spot. They're looking for backers right now. Dre Greenlaw is on IR after undergoing groin surgery. Hopefully he joins this team and this defense over the next couple of weeks. But the linebackers right now, they've been thin here. Azeez Al-Shaair is playing pretty good football. Fred Warner, all-pro Fred, I think is the best linebacker in the league, even though he's been picked apart in coverage at times this year. Marcel Harris has been your other starting linebacker, a converted DB because of some of the injuries there. And there's only really one true backup for DeMeco Ryans' defense, that is Demetrius Flanagan-Foles. Now, if you're watching wherever you're watching, and we appreciate you making the 49ers Report a part of your day, and you're like, I think the Niners should be all in on Jaylon Smith, the trends are somewhat concerning for me. He signed that monster contract a few years ago when he looked to be all the way back from that horrific knee injury that he suffered with Notre Dame, made it to the Pro Bowl, as I mentioned, back in 2019. But ever since that season, he was not worth the price tag that Dallas had paid him. And we know that Jerry Jones is very aggressive in trying to sign his homegrown stars to long-term deals. But the Smith trends to me are concerning because his play over the last couple of years has gotten progressively worse. But the Niners are looking at backers. That's a big reason why they brought in Michael Kendricks into the practice facility on Monday, as we talked about here on the channel, because they're thin at that position. So who would you really rather have? Would it be a guy like Michael Kendricks, who's older than Jaylon Smith, who's still in his mid to late 20s, or would you rather go with Jaylon Smith, even though his play has suffered? He's probably the better player at this point than a guy like Michael Kendricks, who got off to a great start with the Eagles in his career out of Cal, but has been a journeyman since then. Want to ask you this before I dip on out of here. Should the 49ers pursue linebacker Jaylon Smith? He's expected to have suitors out there on the open market. Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. Niner gang, we appreciate you watching today's show.